So, Gaffer, obviously we've put out for the fans to send in a few questions. We picked out a select few to ask you now. So just start by summing up how pre-season's gone so far. Obviously just the one game left.
Yeah, it's gone well. You want to try and get through pre-season, putting the hard work into the players and staying injury-free, which, bar the odd niggle, we've managed to do that. So yeah, pleased on that front. I think the lads are looking fit and strong. Really pleased with how the new lads have integrated with the existing lads. And I feel like we've put a lot of really good work into them on the training ground, which I think we needed. And I think we've also seen the benefit of as well in the majority of the games that we've played. So pleased with how it's gone so far, and obviously got just over a week's work left before we start.
And obviously you've been in the building sort of 6-7 weeks now. Have things sort of lived up to your expectations so far?
Yeah, it's been chaotic. First probably 2-3 weeks especially were. Obviously that 10 days or so before we came back into pre-season, and then the first couple of weeks of pre-season itself, it was a little bit manic, but no, I think it's settled down now, and yeah, just enjoying working with these players every day. You know, they're a good, honest group of lads. They seem like they are receptive to the work that we're doing with them, and the type of training that we're doing with them, and I think they feel that we've made a lot of progress in this short time together so far. So yeah, it's been enjoyable. It's been busy, but that's the way we like it. And as long as you can see progression week by week, then that's really the most important thing from a manager's perspective. And certainly feel like we've seen that, and hopefully that'll see us, you know, do well this season.
Obviously we just finished the session this morning. But what does a typical training week look like for you and the team?
I mean, when it depends really on whether we have one game or two games. I think this is the first week actually that we've not had a midweek game since the first week back. So you're trying to manage it to some extent, but also acknowledge that it is pre-season and we need to keep putting the work into the players. This week we've had it's been a full training week, so we've been able to put some decent work into the lads, not just physically but tactically as well. You know, we've put quite a lot of detail and information into the players this week in particular, and we've kind of dripped that into them when we felt it's been necessary in the first kind of 4 weeks of pre-season, whilst doing that around recovery, top-ups for some who maybe had less minutes, having a look at try lists, and obviously looking at the physical aspects. So yeah, we've I think pretty much, you know, week to week, session to session, you want to try and, you know, hit the physical aspect, the mental, the technical, tactical, and most of our sessions generally do entail all those things. So yeah, pleased with how it's gone.
In terms of sort of tactical setup, obviously we've seen a few different systems in pre-season, but do you have a preferred system that you're looking to use into the season?
I think you've got to be adaptable, to be honest. I've always believed that like different clubs I've been at in the past, we've had the ability to play, you know, different systems that when we felt we've needed to maybe freshen it up or change it going into certain games, we've had the ability to do so. And I don't really envisage that being any different here. I think ultimately, usually personnel dictates how you kind of have to go at times, and it's about getting probably what you consider to be your strongest players on the pitch at that particular moment in time, and that can obviously change throughout the season with injuries, suspensions, that type of thing. So yeah, we'll be adaptable and you know, sometimes go with a back four, sometimes play with 3 centre halves, and how it kind of looks higher up the pitch. We've got lots of different options because we've got lots of good players.
Yeah, you mentioned it a bit now. Obviously, do you operate with a sort of an idea of a first choice 11, or is it more flexible than
that? Look, I think like any manager, you want to probably get what you consider to be your strongest 11 at that any given moment of the season, you want to try and get that on the pitch as frequently as possible. And I think any team, if they can do that, will probably have better run of results. That's usually the way it goes. But we've got a good competition for places here, and we have got decent numbers in the group, but we probably do still need to try and add if and when we can. Of course, you're naturally going to have little bits of fatigue and niggles and knocks and suspensions and that type of thing to contend with as the season progresses. But and obviously that will then result in you maybe needing to tinker a little bit, shall we say. But I've never really been a massive believer in making a lot of changes all the time. I think consistency is really important, and hopefully that's something that we'll be able to have plenty of.
Obviously, season starts in just over a week. Are there any fixtures in particular that you're looking forward to?
I wouldn't say any in particular really, because I think there's a lot of big games and big clubs in this league. So obviously it's my first time managing at this level, and going to be going to a lot of new grounds and different clubs, which is good and a challenge. So I won't say there's any one in particular. I think people will look at some of the bigger clubs in the division, and naturally I think anybody involved in football, they want them big games and they want to play in big stadiums and in front of big crowds. They're the ones that you really kind of lick your lips at. But for me, I want to win, and 3 points, the potential of getting 3 points away at Carlisle's no different to the potential of getting 3 points away at Braintree. So each and every game is just as important to us, and hopefully we can live up to whatever challenges put in front of us.
Yeah, and I mean, looking back to last season a little bit, obviously it wasn't our strongest point. So just how important is it to get a good home record?
Yeah, I think any club wants to try and make the home a little bit of a fortress and have good performances and good return of points at home. I think what the club have done incredibly well the last couple of seasons is do well to pick up as many points as they have done on the road, but you can't just rely on that. I think obviously having the pitch done now at the Shea will hopefully make a difference to us, and it might be a little bit more conducive to us trying to play the brand of football that we want to play, and hopefully that will help us get a better return of points than maybe in previous seasons. As I touched on, the away form has been great, and at my previous clubs, we've always, I think last season, the 2 seasons I was at Kingsland, we picked up more points on the road than we did at the Walks. So that's kind of like a trend that we have in common with obviously what Milley did here in the last couple of seasons. So hopefully we can maintain that resilience and that grittiness on the road and get a good return of points when we're away from home. And if we can marry that up with getting more at the Shea, then hopefully that'll see us have another good season.
And you mentioned this a little bit ago, and you won't be able to say everything, but any potential incoming signings sort of imminent?
I wouldn't say anything imminent, no. We got quite a lot of work done in the first 2 to 3 weeks of the summer, which I felt we needed to, and I think some of them lads who we've brought in have performed well for us so far in pre-season. We've obviously then added the likes of Thierry, Sean Hobson, Josh Amami a little bit later in the window, and we still are looking and would like to try and add at least a couple more really, but we're not going to just dive in and just bring anybody in for the sake of it. It's important that we take our time and that we get players in who they want to come to Halifax Town, and we also think that they're fit for us. So there's nothing imminent. Would we like to bring a couple in? Yes. Am I rushing to do so? No. We'll keep trying every day.
And obviously, you mentioned the Shea pitch a few times. Obviously, it's one of the biggest in the league. How does that sort of affect playing style and recruiting?
Well, I was very mindful when I got the job that I wanted I wanted a hard-working, honest team that had a lot of legs and athleticism in it, and I feel like we've got that. I think there's going to be certain attributes that we might have deficiencies with when you look at us in comparison to some of the other clubs in the division, perhaps in terms of maybe size, maybe experience, but where we hopefully will counteract that is with our work rate, fitness levels, athleticism, pace, just how dynamic I think we can be as a team. So you would naturally hope, with all that said, that at the share that will see us hurt teams, because as you say, it is a big pitch, which will hopefully give us more space and hopefully we can be dangerous there. So looking forward to seeing if that can, that all them ingredients will form a positive outcome for us this season.
Obviously, you said no one's sort of coming in imminently, but is the loan market something that you're looking to utilise this season?
Yeah, I think it's an important thing for us to look at. I don't like having too many because I just don't believe you can build spirit and cohesion and togetherness if you've got too many lads in the building that are on loan, because at any given time they could move on and obviously then you kind of having to replace them, and it's a bit of a revolving door. So, but I do think there's a great value in that market to getting a couple in, which is something that we've been looking at, and we're talking to different clubs about different possibilities, and obviously in the season as well, there might be times where we're going to be a little bit stretched and we need to bring in a body or two. So it's something that we'll definitely look at.
Obviously, one of the younger squads in the league. But what sort of qualities do you look for when signing? Certainly the younger players.
Potential to get better, and to go alongside that, a hunger to want to get better. It's one thing having potential, but then it's another thing having the hunger and the work ethic and application to maximise that potential. I want young lads or younger players, shall we say, who are coachable and who are receptive to hard work, criticism, being challenged, and ultimately, like any player, young or old, I want players who want to be at Halifax Town and who want to run through brick walls for me, the staff, the players that they play with, the supporters, and who ultimately want to come in here and do really well and try and kick on.
A couple of questions now, just a bit more about yourself, but how do you think sort of starting in management at such a young age and starting in football has helped you sort of to grow to this point?
Well, listen, I think if I look, I've been managing for 20 years, which is half my life, so I've done it at various levels, and men's game, women's game, worked in academies, centre of excellences, so I've got quite a vast and broad experience, which I think certainly, I think any manager would tell you that I think you just naturally get more comfortable and better in the job the longer that you do it, because there's less that you haven't seen. There's many experiences that I've had in the past that I think I look back on now and they massively helped my development as a manager and as a coach. And hopefully that just helps me make better decisions and stay calm when maybe there's madness going on around you, and ultimately give the best possible support to the players and the staff that I work with. So I'm very, I've got a lot of experience for a guy my age, and I'm well aware of that. But this is a whole new experience for me now, and I think you've always got to be receptive to learning and improving, and I certainly always have been and always will be. So I'm thoroughly looking forward to this next chapter of my journey.
And what manager sort of do you look up to the most? Is there anyone you take inspiration from a lot?
I love Mourinho. Don't know why, but probably he's the one that made me want to, manage, I guess. Seeing a guy who never played and was a student of the game and everything he went on to achieve, the guy's just a born winner. He'd just do anything to win. And listen, I'd do anything to win as well. So in him for sure. But there's loads. I look up to good English, British coaches, the likes of Eddie Howe, Sean Dyche, Sam Allardyce, the old school ones. Because even though I'm only 40, been managing a long time, I do feel like whilst you've got to evolve with the game and become a little bit more modern, I do still think that there's a massive place in the football still for good old school traits and habits. So yeah, there's many, there's many out there. I think you can learn so much from listening to and watching, many different people. But yeah, if I had to choose one, I'd have to say Jose.
What's one thing people don't necessarily realise about managing a football team?
That it's a lonely place. Yeah, it's a lonely place when you lose and when things aren't going well, because it hurts. I don't think anybody realises how much it hurts. We all do this because we love the game and because we're competitors and we want to win. And when you don't, it ruins your week. And because it's ruined your week, it ruins your family's week. Because you're probably not a great person to be around at that time. So yeah, I would say people just probably look at it and think that it's all about picking teams and the games, but there's so much other stuff that goes into it. That's the bit that we enjoy, and the work you do with the players, day to day on the training ground. It's all the stuff around it that you've got to manage and deal with and plan. But that's just part of the gig. But it's certainly a lonely place when it's tough. That's for sure.
Yeah, maybe to lighten the mood to end it, we like to end on a couple of fun ones. So, what's your go-to Tesco meal deal?
Some kind of wrap, probably some steak, crisps. I'm a sucker for a flapjack, and I like a milkshake or a coffee.
And then just finally, do you believe pineapple belongs on pizza?
No.
Thank you for your time.
No bother.